Hello and welcome to yet again another episode. Today we're going to actually cook the rack of lamb that we had previously cleaned. So let's get right into it. We're going to start with our full domestic rack. I'm going to cook the thing whole. It's going to be a two-step process. Basically we're going to saute it to sear in the meat, and then we're going to throw it in the oven, and that's going to finish it, and that's also going to give us a little bit of color on our crust. We may even add a little broiler in there just at the end to make sure that the crust does get nice and golden. Depends on how long you want to cook it in there. So let's get started. Over here you'll see I have everything set up. I have a little bit of the crust ready to go. This is basically panko breadcrumbs, some fresh sage from my garden. We also threw in a little bit of garlic and a decent amount of roast. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to season this with some salt and pepper. Okay, now be a little liberal, because what this is going to do is this is going to basically provide a little bit of a barrier in between the product and the hot skillet that's going on here. I'm going to add in about 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil, and then we're just gently going to take the rack, presentation side down, and throw it right in here into the hot skillet. Just like that. One thing you'll notice is that I'm using my aluminum pan. It's not non-stick. The reason for that is I want to be able to capture some of the juices left over and things like that. It also gives me a much better sear than I would ever get on a non-stick pan. So we're going to let this sear for about 1.5 minutes. Okay, so we just got our rack. It's been 1.5 minutes according to my trusty timer. I'm going to season the back side of this real quick. Then we're just going to flip it. You can already start to see some of that nice color developing along the front. And also I would like to point out that my heat on this is only sitting at about medium high. I don't have this blasting. I don't want to totally burn it and sear it before it has a chance to cook all the way. I'm going to let it cook for another 1 to 2 minutes. Set it for 1.5 minutes to be safe. And let it go. Okay, our next 1.5 minutes is up, so let's take a look. You can see we have a nice golden color all the way around. That's good. Just going to stand it up just to get a little sear on the bottom for about 30 seconds. We'll just hold it here. Now you can see already that we are getting the payoff from crunching the bones and actually cleaning them off nicely. You can see that the color is becoming a nice even white, and we're not seeing a bunch of nasty charred bits on there. That's great. Alright, at this point I'm going to turn off the heat and I'm going to apply my crust. Now we need to make the crust adhere to this, and traditionally the way we do that is with mustard. I use basically a good Dijon mustard. I'm sure you can see which brand it is. But if I had a Rolls Royce, somebody would be asking me for some. Alright, I'm just going to brush that around. You don't want too much because we don't want this to overpower the flavor of the lamb, but we do want it to protect it while it's finishing cooking, as well as bring a little extra flavor to the party. Okay, and then last we just take the crust and pop it on. Now I will tell you my oven is sitting at about 400 degrees. I like it a little hot. If you want your rack more well done, I would recommend going at a slightly lower temperature and slowing it down. Just always the best bet. Alright, so we got a nice herb and a little bit of cheese crust on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this straight in the oven. Going to 400 degrees. I'm going to have a temperature probe in it, and we're going to check on it and make sure it stops when it reaches about 125. I like mine medium, so that's just about right. So in we go. All right, Timer's up, so let's check our food, see what our temperature's like. You can already start to see some of the golden color on here. Let's go right in the middle. 123.7. I'd say that's pretty close to 125, wouldn't you? Okay, so let's take our rack out of the pan. We're going to let it rest about 5 minutes before we even think about cutting this. That's going to help to make sure that all the cooking process stops, juices are going to stay put, and it'll definitely make this the best lamb rack you've ever had. Okay, so it's now been resting 5 minutes. We need to have a good sharp knife and a heavy knife to be able to cut through this, because you will encounter some bones along the way. And if any of those little chine bones we talked about before are in there, you need to be able to power through them. So don't get your wussy little knife out, get your big dog. Alright, so if we look down our rack, what we want to do is try and keep our pieces pretty much equal sized. So I'm going to start at one end. And we're just going to work down. Might take a little tweaking. And then boom. Oh, look at that. Perfect medium rare. See, now if I had the other knife, there's no way I would have made it through that. So now we've got all the way through. We can do a little plating. Obviously this is for two people. It'd be a little bit much for one. Although, I'd be willing to give it a try. I made a little nice couscous here that I made. It's got a little bit of mint in it. I don't believe in the whole mint jelly thing, but mint and lamb do go together nicely. The whole Greek tradition. Just going to fluff it up. I'm going to put it in my little ring mold here. When I say ring mold, I mean ring cutter. I'm sure you've got one laying around. Yeah, spruce it up nice, make it pretty. It's easy enough to do. Spray the inside with a little bit of Pam, you're ready to go. Yep, golden raisin popped out there. Voila. Alright, then I'm going to take 4 chops here, plus that little end guy. I'm just going to set them around nicely. Oh, that looks amazing. And then I made a little bit of a cucumber salad because it is summer, but we do want to give a nod to the fresh vegetables available. Then we're just going to take a little bit of au jus, which I made. This was made from the trimming that I have when I actually did the cutting of it. I just reduced it down, nice and easy. Wow, that looks great. So that's it. That's how you can cook a rack of lamb. And doesn't that look amazing? Have a great time. We'll see you next time on The Kitchen Hacker.